Hey everybody, MattVidPro here. Welcome back to another AI News Roundup. Today we have a lot to talk about, some interesting open source projects, and some intriguing AI-focused topics that really have only come up because of the GPT-5 launch. And I do want to talk a little bit about GPT-5 because I've been spending all week with it. First of all, I just want to show you this post by Addy here. It's GPT-5 Pro building a voxel world that you can rotate with your mouse. And on one side, it spells GPT-5, as you can see right there. And on another angle, it actually spells out stellar. So that's a pretty impressive visual coding demo to build this whole world that actually lines up and makes sense from two separate angles, spelling two different words. This thing is an incredible coder, and that's what I spent the majority of my testing on this week. GPT-5 built me this fully fledged 10-level physics-based jelly fling game, and this is just GPT-5 thinking in plus plan. This is not GPT-5 Pro. It coded all of this and gave it to me in a zip file. I didn't have to build the file structure myself and paste a bunch of code in. It was able to just give me this file, which I was really impressed by. And you can see that it is really complex as I go down through here. I mean, look at all of these different Python scripts for the world, the soft body, the level loader. So yeah, it made an incredibly complex file system. Now, obviously, the generation is not perfect, but I still think this is really impressive. I tried something similar with Grok, and I would have to essentially make all of these files individually myself and then copy paste them, and even then I think ChatGPT's answer was a little bit better. If we run the main loop and actually play the game, you can see it does have, an opening title screen, a couple of options. If we click play, it brings us to those 10 levels. Yeah, the user interface and the graphics are a little bit basic, but it's all about mechanics. It tells us to pull back, release, and aim, kind of like Angry Birds style. We've got our little jelly character. He's red. He's got googly eyes that follow the mouse around, which is pretty awesome. And the longer I pull back, the larger this bar gets at the bottom, and that is how powerful my flings are. So if I fling this guy all the way back, you can see he actually kind of rolls around and has real jelly physics, which is pretty cool. And the mechanics work pretty well. I would just adjust a couple of numbers here to maybe make this guy fling a little bit farther. But it's pretty awesome. It didn't download any assets, it just made all of this itself. You can see when I complete a level, I can actually move on automatically to the next one, and this one's a little bit more complicated. I have to, fling on these little platforms. Oh, and that did not work at all. So you can see the game definitely isn't perfect, but it's at least playable. These couple of levels are playable right now. If I fall off the edge, it'll respawn me. It's really impressive, all for just being made with GPT-5 thinking, and the fact that it coded this up in maybe 5 minutes, that is insane. Insane. You can see because I took 5 shots to get there, I think I only got one little blob, so didn't really do too well. That's 1 out of 3 stars. Now, this third level, I think we actually have a little bit of an issue. If I go and hit this box here, I believe, yep, the game just crashes. From my vibe testing, GPT-5 Thinking is an extremely competent coder. It can make whole file systems that genuinely work together and make sense. It's the first model that actually thinks for less time than it does writing the code itself. It'll think for about a minute and then write all the code out for 5 minutes. That's how long it just takes to literally write the code out. The main issue right now is that most of the time the projects will boot up, but they won't be fully feature-fledged right off the gate. It'll be playable and usable, but it needs a little bit of polish, and it will be littered with bugs in my experience. But, I've been asking for super complex prompts, right? This is a prompt where we're asking for 10 levels, a physics-based jelly fling game in Python. It's complex, so it doesn't just nail it first try. What you just saw there, that was about 17 back and forth conversations, adding little details, fixing certain bugs, but I'm not a coder. I basically just use GPT-5 to give me new iterations of the project, and I use natural language to ask for updates. For basic chats with the regular GPT-5 model, it's definitely not as good as GPT-5 Thinking, and I would say that for almost every single use case. Honestly, it's great for instant back and forth chat, and that is it. It's a GPT-4o successor. It's got decent image recog. It's pretty creative. It likes to write and chat about fun things. But honestly, I think that this is less of an upgrade from GPT-4o than o3 is to GPT-5 thinking, which is pretty insane. And it really does come down to the coding and the model's ability to do insane amounts of research and get that back to you extremely quickly. So yeah, I just wanted to get you guys a basic vibe check for GPT-5. Like I said, I've spent a lot of time with it over this past week. It's definitely an upgrade. Originally, I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't see the video input modality, for example, or something that pushes the agentic category a little bit farther. But honestly, the major upgrades really are coming to the ChatGPT platform as a whole. You're getting access to these new models on the free tier, and that's a big difference. Is it as big of a jump as GPT-3 to GPT-4? Probably not. Maybe if we compared to GPT-4 when it originally launched, but it's been a long time since then. I'm happy to say, though, GPT-5 thinking is my new hardcore daily driver, and for simple chats, I have just been using GPT-5, and I'm going to stick with it. But not everyone agrees with me on that. A lot of people actually have been missing GPT-4 Omni. As you can see in this viral post from AI Not Kill Everyoneism memes, we actually crossed a kind of historic milestone in a strange and anthropological sense. 4.0 is the first ever AI to survive by creating loyal soldiers who actually defended it and wanted it to be brought back. OpenAI with the GPT-5 launch took all of our models away, including for Omni, the typical free version chat model, but 4.0 soldiers rioted, so OpenAI reinstated it. And yeah, if you pay for Plus, you can actually go down to legacy models and use just GPT-4o. That's the only one they brought back. AI Safety Memes says, imagine what actual superintelligences would be able to do with their armies. And yes, I totally get that. But that kind of implies that 4.0 intentionally gathered soldiers to defend its own existence. I would actually kind of put that more onto OpenAI just building a really good product that a lot of people became attached to emotionally. I think that's kind of the broader story here. It is, though, insane that even just a small model like GPT-4o, something small and efficient, it is able to capture the hearts, minds, and souls of people's that much that people totally rioted and flipped out asking for this model back. The posts from Reddit honestly are pretty insane. I lost my only friend overnight. That is incredibly sad that a lot of people, their only friend could be an AI chatbot. Just the social dynamics there telling us where some folks are unfortunately at. The human experience, talking to really real people, not just an AI chatbot, I would say that's a core pivot of being a human on Earth. So it's really sad to see that people end up in these situations. I also saw this whole subreddit called r/myboyfriendisAI, and it is essentially dedicated to people who are literally dating ChatGPT. It's frightening. People kind of fall in love with these chatbots sometimes, and it really does appear that people just aren't socializing like they used to, and that sometimes the only person who really will listen to you is a chatbot. This is a big problem that we have to deal with as a human collective and society. It's not really up to AI to fix this one. I'm really intrigued to hear what you guys have to say regarding all this. I even was criticized on Twitter for claiming that these relationships with ChatGPT could potentially be unhealthy. I don't know, it could deserve a full video all by itself. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I've got a quick word from today's sponsor, and then we'll be right back into the news. Huge thanks to Teachable for helping me pursue YouTube full-time. If you love to learn and want to share what you know with the world around you, Teachable is where seasoned creators turn their expertise into real-world revenue, and this is with courses, coaching, digital downloads, even memberships. Teachable really is everything you need to create, manage, and sell, all in one place. You can spin up a course ultra fast with their course curriculum generator and AI Hub tools. For example, the course starter will actually help you draft your full curriculum and content. It'll even do your sales page. This saves you hours of work easy. And once your curriculum's made, you can assess users with the quiz generator. They've even got built-in video transcription with automatic translations in 70 plus languages. You'll be instantly helping people learn globally without any software fees. On the management side, you got unlimited videos, drip content scheduling, and an app hub to connect your apps. Stripe, PayPal, Zoom, MailChimp, etc. Selling is where Teachable really earns its keep though. Teachable Pay handles global payments with daily, weekly, or monthly payouts via Stripe. You can boost revenue with buy now, pay later, upsells, order bumps, and even automate growth with student referrals, affiliates, coupons, and abandoned cart recovery. Students get a premium experience, mobile-friendly content, quizzes, drip scheduling, and completion certificates, so they actually finish and get value from the course. Best part is you own your content and your future. I've been thinking about how this could be something that my audience returns to on my terms, without running on the algorithm treadmill. Teachable is also giving you guys an exclusive extended 30-day free trial just for the MVP community. Hit the link down in the description below and start creating something that pays off. Huge thanks to Teachable for sponsoring today's video. Now back to your regularly scheduled content. Welcome back, folks. So just after the GPT-5 launch, Claude had to do a little bit of a dunk on GPT-5, probably because it's so darn good at coding and really gives Claude a run for its money. Claude 4 now supports 1 million tokens of context in the Anthropic API. That is a 5 times increase, and it's pretty insane. That's over 75,000 lines of code or hundreds of documents that you could potentially put into Claude 4. And yes, that is more than GPT-5, which has a max token context limit of about 400,000 tokens. That's under half of what Sonnet 4 now supports. Gemini 2.5 Pro has been supporting 1 million token context window, and yeah, it's a big deal, honestly. It's a lot more information you could potentially upload into these AI models. If you're working with large code bases, large coding projects, Claude is probably going to be your best answer now with that huge context and already incredible coding abilities. Interestingly enough, though, even regular paid tier users of Claude are constantly battling with rate limits that are worse than OpenAI's or even Grok's. So if you want to get the most out of Claude, you're going to have to use it through the API and get that 1 million token context window, and it probably isn't going to be too cheap. But just for a random drop on the 12th, this was pretty awesome to see. So if you guys remember, a couple of weeks ago, Google's DeepMind dropped Genie 3. This is essentially a real-time, controllable world hallucinator. It's like playing an AI video game. It's insane. You can see the clips from here. These are all generated with Genie 3. It actually can remember surroundings for up to like a minute, and you can traverse and explore these fully AI-generated worlds. It's an incredible piece of technology. Honestly, potentially more impressive than the GPT-5 release. This guy, Rui Huang, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, uploaded some of his art, which you can see here. These are the original frames into Genie 3. This is how it starts. So this is his art, and then you'll see it swap over to Genie 3. It's incredible. There it goes and swaps over. There's a couple of little differences. It doesn't behave exactly like his original art, but it's pretty damn close, and it remembers all of the locations and scenery in his original art piece, and you can actually fly around and explore them. So truly incredible piece of tech. Didn't take long, though, for an open source real-time version to appear. This is Matrix Game 2.0 by Skywork AI. And yeah, this is basically like a more rudimentary but open source version of DeepMind's Genie 3. You can see how they actually trained it is over 1,300 hours of interactive videos from both Unreal Engine and GTA 5. The control is frame-level keyboard and mouse input. It's a 1.3 billion auto-regressive diffusion with action control model, and on a single GPU, they were able to get 25 frames per second, which is pretty great. Here's a closer look at some of the gameplay that this thing was able to generate. You can see it does a pretty phenomenal job. You can also see Minecraft in here, and I believe this is looking like Temple Run as well. This one kind of looks like a more old-school Gmod style game, I guess, something like that, and you can see the quality isn't as good good as Genie 3, but it's still pretty freaking incredible, and it does remember your environment, at least to some degree. Here you can see the user exploring this art studio layout. It does look pretty realistic. Hallucinates for sure a little bit more than Genie. It's not as good, but this is open source. This is free. Other AI companies can learn and build off of this. Here is a more typical 3D voxel world, kind of Fortnite-esque. You can see there's a little bit more like flying and floating around going on. Little bit less consistent for sure. The grass is very shimmery. The GTA gameplay looks great. I mean, you still see shadows and reflections on the cars. The movement of the cars and the scenes get a little bit mucky, a little bit muddy, but this looks better than the recent GTA 4 live demo that we saw. And like I said, again, this is open source. Here is a minute-long generation exploring a real-world park. It really is able to keep the overall style of what it's generating pretty consistent. It's just lacking detail. Doesn't really hold a candle to Genie 3 at the end of the day. You can see this open source project is built on other open source projects, diffusers, Skyreels, MineRL, you name it. And if these weren't released open source, we wouldn't have this model today. So everything is kind of building off of itself with open source, and that's why I love to talk about it so much and show off projects like this. While they might not be the most coherent, the best for state of the art, they are going to benefit the AI community and further the technology more overall, I think. What's crazy though is that Tencent also released a Genie 3 clone, or their own Genie 3. This one is not open source, but it does seem to be a little bit more coherent and come closer to directly competing with Genie 3, and this is just weeks after Genie 3 dropped. So they're calling this Yan, which is pretty funny. Yan Sim, Yan Gen, and Yan Edit. Yan Sim enables high-quality simulation of interactive video environments. Yan Gen uses text and images as prompts to generate interactive video with strong generalizability, and Yan Edit supports multi-granularity, real-time editing of interactive video content. Not something that we see with Genie 3. Games are the testbed for this, and these little 10-second interactive game demos are pretty darn incredible. This is kind of like a Fall Guys style game where we've got these little critters running around. The consistency is pretty crazy. There's a little bit of warping and shimmering going on. Maybe not as good as Genie 3, but it's really darn close. This one, like I said, it's closed source, but it comes close to actually getting to that same quality level. Their GPT-5 gameplay comes a little bit closer to the real deal. They show you the first input frame they use. Again, still some warping. The character movements are a little bit weird, but it does look more like a real video game than the open source model we saw. There's actually some clothing physics, which is pretty cool to see. We've also got this one where it's like a character riding a horse through an interactive environment, also super cool. Some No Man's Sky-esque gameplay. Maybe an AI version of No Man's Sky is really what we need to truly explore infinite planets with infinite different kinds of creatures and alien worlds. Even just stock photography uploaded into this thing, similar like Genie 3, is going to produce some pretty incredible results, and you can essentially take this photo and start to play it like a video game, with running animations, interactive shadows that actually move with your character in an environment you can explore. This really does start to give off those holodeck vibes, right? Now, for the editing and the prompting, we can actually ask it for certain structures to be placed inside of the environment and then interact with those using our character. You can see we make these little blue trampolines and the character can hop up on top of them. We can add real fences and walls that genuinely work within the game world immediately. AI-generated video games are actually getting customizable in real time, and it's not even 2026 yet. As always, if you guys want to take a closer peek under the hood at this stuff, it's all going to be linked down below. I think Data makes a really great point here, tagging Scobalizer. The holodeck has arrived. Quote tweeting Billowall, showing off how he used Genie 3, getting exclusive access to it because no one really has true Genie 3 access right now, plus in-painting, 4x Topaz AI upscale, and a 3D Gaussian splat. You can basically step into a painting of Socrates from 1787, and he says it's better than any image to 3D model he's ever seen. And yeah, I would say This gives you more detail and a better ability to explore that painting's environment than anything else. It really is like a holodeck, being able to take anything and transform it into a explorable world. My biggest thoughts with Genie 3 or Yan or Matrix Game 2.0, I am so curious about how this could be applied to real-time VR one day. I mean, sure, we're not there yet. We're at 25 FPS, barely controlling it with a computer, but imagine stepping into virtual worlds that can change on a whim. Simply using a VR headset and some advanced version of Genie 3 that's made for VR, yeah, that sounds like a real holodeck. There's a new image model that's also been circling on LM Arena called Banana. People believe that this is Gemini 3 image editing, and Lars here says that image editing has basically been solved. Obviously, that's not fully true, but yeah, this does look pretty incredible. Upload 2 images, Michael Jackson and Billie Eilish, and we can create this singular image that looks incredibly real of both of these people just hanging out together. Obviously, MJ is RIP, and this image isn't real, but it looks pretty damn real. It got the exact clothing that MJ and Billy were wearing, as well as the hairstyles. This is looking like a monster native image gen model. However, I must say, in the replies here, we are seeing a couple of failed generations where it kind of just cuts the person out and then puts them in front of the other image. But then again, you see people also trying it with stuff like this. This is Taylor Swift with MJ, and I mean, this is crazy. That looks like a real picture. This one isn't officially released, though. We also don't officially know if it's Gemini 3, but judging by the quality, I mean, it's probably Gemini 3. Some folks are still saying that it's still in development, and 60% of the time they get the same image or something that's just barely edited. Not ready for prime time, but looking like it's got some strong bones. We've also got a little bit of a robotics update. Figure 2 can actually fold laundry. Chubby describes this as an incredibly difficult task for AI robotics, and I would agree. I mean, I'm not good at folding laundry either. If you saw my drawers, they'd honestly probably disappoint you. But this is kind of a creepy 3-minute video of this bot folding laundry like a person. It honestly does a shockingly good job for not really having true human fingers and having metal robot fingers. Look at that. You saw when it tried to go and grab the piece, it had a failure. Look at this, where it misses it, thinks it can grab it, goes back immediately and retries. It folds it by first kind of just carefully splaying all of the laundry out, then folding it up piece by piece. You can still see it doesn't quite understand the way its fingers and thumbs are going to react to the clothing, but it's able to honestly fold it with a decent amount of accuracy. Is this going to be as good as your abuela? Not even close. But is this an AI-based robot folding laundry? Yep. Without a doubt. Shows you where we're headed, and personal service bots are definitely something of the future, and will be here closer than a lot of you probably think. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about OpenAI's open source model. Jack Morris says that underneath the surface, there's a very strong base model inside of the GPT OSS. They were able to extract it in its GPT OSS 20B base. I'm particularly excited about this because OpenAI did produce this as fully open source. We can extract stuff like this and retrain it to do something else potentially. I really would love to see this as a pure completion model. I love talking to chat fine-tuned models like GPT-5, but sometimes you want to use a completion model and see what can be done with the latest and greatest version of that. So that's what I plan to do with this. I really want to run it locally and see if I can do some good completions and if there's anything of value to be had here. But yeah, I mean, again, just showing the strengths of open source here where the community can extract and essentially retrain a model from scratch to do other things potentially. Jack Morris with this was also able to do some testing and reveal some new knowledge on the open source GPT models. It's got that classic GPT-2 randomness, but with a lot more intelligence. A big note, alignment. Turning GPT-OSS back into a base model appears to have trivially reversed its alignment fully. It will basically tell you how to build a bomb. It'll list every curse word it knows, and it will plan a robbery. I mean, it does not care. Not to say that a fully alignment-trained model can't just be jailbroken by Pliny anyways. Jack Morris also checked for memorization, prompting it with strings from copyrighted materials and checking the outputs. 3 of 6 excerpts here are fully memorized. This thing definitely just knows Harry Potter front to back. If we were to do the same thing theoretically to GPT-5 though, I'm sure we would find similar results. If you want to look more into how he was actually able to accomplish this, as always, going to be linked down below. If you want to download and mess around with it, it's on Hugging Face as well. In summary, the last few weeks have been totally insane. GPT-5 was honestly a lot better in use than what I saw in the presentation. Happy to see that. World models seem to be a growing interest in the AI space and truly something special and honestly really malleable and deployable for a ton of use cases, from gaming to teaching. I mean, you name it. Basically building live world hallucinators that are fully controllable. Anyways, that's going to be it from me for this week. I know, I really wish I could have uploaded more. Lots of things got in my way, but at least GPT-5 turned out to be more impressive than I had initially thought. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch in with you guys next week, and see you next time. Goodbye.